Good afternoon and welcome to Today on Bay TV. We are live in Swansea on Monday the 8th of May 2017. I'm Henry Darby-Cook and this is Gaynor Morgan.
And Carwyn Evans has joined us to talk sport. But first, let's hear some music with Tom Auton.
Give me a reason why I should shake your hand, it'd be good for you. Make a statement and take it back, give me a minute or two. It's collectible, disposable, it's easy to hide. You despise the eyes that crucified the things you desired, but you're on your own. You couldn't have done it without him. I just think you're ready. I just think you'd go down well. Well, never mind, don't look behind, you'll be thriving till the money man hits the ground. I'm a dream catcher, I'm the money man. Well, I don't care about your future, I just want your hand. Give me a paper bag with a face on it, yeah, it looks like you. You can use it, crumble or abuse it, what a waste of a tool. It's a beautiful, disputable cost of a dream. All your inner thoughts are waste, of course, work out what you mean. But you're on your own, you couldn't have done it without him. I just think you're ready. I just think you go down well. Well, never mind, don't look behind, you'll be thriving till the money man, it's the money man, it's the money man, it's the ground. I'm a dream catcher, I'm the money man. Well, I don't care about your future, I just want your hand. I'm a dream catcher, I'm the money man. Well, I don't care about your future, I just want your hand. Very much.
Oh, that's the way to start a show, eh? Time now, though, to talk sport with Carwyn, and I think a huge weekend for sport, yeah?
Oh, massive, yeah. Tom there mentioning the word dream in his song on more than one occasion, and that's what it was for the Swan supporters, really. Saturday afternoon, the action started to unfold when Hull, who sat 2 points ahead of Swansea in the Premiership, in the last safe position, took on already relegated Sunderland, and David Moyes and his relegated players did a massive, huge favour for Swansea by beating Hull 2 points to nil, and then Q 2.5 hours hour later after the full time, Swans took on Everton at the Liberty, a rocking Liberty to say the least. The sound of the support on the television was outstanding, and yeah, Fernando Llorente does what he does best and gets the winning goal, but more importantly, put Swansea in a safe place for now.
There was so much riding on it, wasn't there?
Oh, it was massive, as in there was a lot of talk before the game, Hull have got this fantastic record at home, they're taking on a team that's already relegated, the pressure would be on Swansea to keep up with Hull, but then as often happens in football, it's the roller coaster of the sport that gets so many people in love with it that saw, as I say, Sunderland do the job and then Swansea back it up. And from being the team chasing, Swansea now in control, and it really does give them hope and the momentum, hopefully, now to get the points to keep them up.
Lots of excitement then, but I think the relief was palpable as well. But I think we've got a clip.
Yeah, we've got
so
the
we
goal.
Can share some of the...
Here it is.
Llorente! Guard box pulling off Jagielka. Physically, it's a mismatch. Nobody's going to get anywhere near him. Correct position. And he's got on the end of it. It's an absolutely inch-perfect cross from my... Sigurdsson and Llorente. Morton! The two former Barnsley...
It's amazing, really, isn't it? Swansea, they've been deprived of luck all season, and Llorente's, well, the final touch, I think, came off his shoulder. And it's funny, I was watching the game with my partner's father, and I sort of told him, oh, it's the perfect ball, it's going in. It had that feel to it where you just knew that Llorente would score the goal. And after the goal, Swansea dominated. They outplayed better opposition on paper and in the table, but... In one sense, Everton were lucky that it stayed 1-0 for as long as it did and gave them a chance, but Swansea defended heroically towards the end. They were really under the cosh, and I thought for a team probably mentally not in the strongest of positions due to the season they've had, they put in such a mature performance that it's the ball's back in their court. They win next weekend against Sunderland, albeit up in the northeast, but they get that win and then the pressure's on Hull. And we could be, by this time next week, celebrating the Swans staying in the Premiership for another year.
It's lifted everyone's spirits, hasn't it? Because
Well, I was there, and the fans were definitely the 12th man. And let's talk about what the team are doing for the fans to go to Sunderland.
Well, this is it. Yeah, they've all they've been talking amongst each other, and they're paying for 3,000 fans for the tickets of 3,000 fans making the trip to Sunderland, because it's not the closest place to go. And from what I understand, they're sort of flying up. They're going in buses. They're going in cars. They're going in trains. Any way possible to...
Option on a boat?
There's probably an option on a boat. It'll probably take you a bit longer, but if you've got the week, I'm sure people would venture there to get there. Well, exactly. And it's amazing. The city, it's grown alive since they've been in the Premiership. And I don't think anybody... in Swansea wants to see them go down, even if they don't like football, because I think it's such...
Well, it's not just a game, is it, dare I say?
No,
It's much more than that.
Exactly. It's breathed
such an
new life.
economic input
of course,
as well.
it's massive, isn't it? And what was it, 2-3 years ago, we had one of the biggest teams in Spain visiting Swansea for a European game, and we all want to see those days long last in the city, and the hope is that get the win next weekend now, put the pressure on somebody else, and then the players can sit back and enjoy.
Dare I say, it wasn't just the Swans this weekend, was it?
No, there was a big rugby game as well down in the west, the Scarlets taking on the Ospreys, and it didn't have that much riding on it, because apart from bragging rights, because both had qualified bar a ridiculous upset for the Pro 12 playoffs, semi-finals, but of course, as in any derby, you want to get one over on your opposition. And after a slow start, the Scarlets really put the pressure on the Ospreys and ran away comfortable winners by the end. And it was a bit of a surprise, really, because the Ospreys have had the upper hand in this fixture, and they've all sort of had the big winning margins in the past. But yeah, the Scarlets ran out comfortable in the end, and now they'll get to travel to Dublin to face Leinster in a fortnight, while the Ospreys play Munster out in West Island.
And according to the Western Mail, with a spring in their step.
Well, exactly, this is it. And it's amazing, really, to think we've had regional rugby now in Wales for well over 10 years, and this is the first time that we've had two teams in the playoff semi-finals. So it's a massive achievement, and the hope is that both could get the big wins in the semi-final, and we can have an all-West final.
And again, in the Western Mail, West is best.
Well, exactly, yes, yeah. I think they've sealed that this year, I think. Yes,
yeah, so it's a great... You had a very enjoyable weekend then, both of you?
Yes,
yeah, definitely.
glued to the television.
And more to come, which is the beauty
Well,
of it.
Well,
yes.
yeah, it sort of extends the,
Yeah.
the year for everybody now, doesn't it?
Yes, it's really great. Well, that's good news, and the sun's shining. It's supposed to be shining for the rest of the week, isn't it? So
Let's hope that
yes.
it shines up in Sunderland for the Swans next weekend.
I'm sure it will. After the break, we'll be joined by Llew Thomas, and we'll be talking sheep.
I'm excited. We'll see you then.
Look forward to it. Welcome back to Today on Bay TV. I'm Gaynor Morgan, this is Henry Darby Cook, and we have with us Llew Thomas, who's the chairman of the National Sheep Association in Wales. Yes, thank you for joining us. Now you're showcasing sheep in Wales next week, aren't you?
Yes, on Tuesday the 16th of May, we're having a sheep event based on a large-scale tenanted farm in the Brecon Beacons. It's a 1,000-acre farm with 3,000 acres of hill rights, which is tenanted by the Williams family from the...
Stephen and Lisa,
Stephen and Lisa Williams, the son Luke, and Stephen's father Godfrey. So Luke is the 5th generation involved there. And the farm's owned by the Welsh Water, which, because all the water that lands on the farm goes into the Talabont Reservoir, which supplies Newport with water.
It's going to be quite an event, isn't it? Because the farm is set in such a spectacular environment. It's in the heart of the Brecon Beacons, and it's just an absolutely breathtaking place to go to, isn't it?
It's a fantastically run farm as well. You can see from the quality of the stock, from the way that the farm is organised, everything is terrifically well run. It's just a landscape like that doesn't just happen.
No.
It's based on a huge amount of work and effort by the Williams family.
And by generations. I think while you're talking, we've got some pictures just to show just how spectacular it is. And that's the family, of course. We've got Godfrey on the left, and Steve, Luke and Lisa. And
wow, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it really
Breathtaking.
is. Yeah. But I think as Llew was just touching on now, the work that goes into that, you know, through generations. I think Godfrey's grandfather took the farm on.
Godfrey's grandfather took the farm on when they started building the Talabont Reservoir in the 20s, and they eventually got all the land because their farm was actually drowned. So they were the last man standing, as it were, in the valley. They've got the farm there now.
So all this was controversial in lots of places where reservoirs would obviously swallow up all the farms, you know. And I think the fact that it's a tenanted farm, would people generally know the difference between it? Obviously, people know something's tenanted or owned, but it's a very different concept of farming, isn't it?
It is a different concept of farming in that you're working on somebody else's land. More often than not, farmers get on quite well with their landlords, but there's bound to be a conflict because you've got to pay them a huge rent every twice a year, isn't it?
On the other hand, we were tenant farmers, and my father always said the land is too expensive to farm. You couldn't afford to buy your own farm if you...
Well, that's one way of looking at it, but if you paid rent for 50 years, you've bought that farm 3 times over.
Well, yes, yes. And of course, you've got that to juggle with as well, is it the added dimension?
You've got that extra pressure, I suppose, in that you've got to meet those rent payments twice a year, and the money's got to be there.
And it's your home as well.
It's your home, and you know you could lose it if you're not doing the job properly.
And these are testing times for sheep farmers.
Very, very difficult times for sheep farmers. There's a recent report. The average income for not just a sheep farmer, but a farmer in Wales from farming is less than £13,000. So most farmers are doing something else as well to make ends meet. Even on this farm, which is probably 3 times as large as the average farm, they are having to do other things as well. You know, one of the things they're doing is that they're repairing cars there, which they're selling firewood. They're doing all sorts of other things. So people are working very long, hard hours in farming. Then they've got to go out and do something to earn some money as well.
And I think Lisa, the wife, had a pedometer on her foot when they were gathering sheep, because it's not just the farm. The actual grazing goes over the hills or mountains right up as far as Penavan. And she put this pedometer on. She's done about 13 miles, I think, just bringing the sheep back. It's extraordinary.
She was walking, bringing the sheep back. She did 13 miles. And Steve and the others then were on farm bikes because it's a fair old distance to go. And they did over 50 miles in the day on their bikes, just gathering the sheep.
Extraordinary, yes.
It really sounds like a labour of love.
Now, what about the role of sheep as custodians, really, of the countryside? They are the lawn mowers, aren't they, of Wales?
Basically, this farm in particular then, and other farms as well. My farm, for example, 10 years ago, I was in one of these schemes.
You're farming in Carmarthenshire,
Yeah, I'm farming in Carmarthen. Under the Tir Gofal scheme, we were encouraged to do exclude stock from the sides of rivers and streams and ditches and so on to create stream side corridors. Well, my stream side corridor 10 years ago, you can't even get into it. It's covered in brambles and Himalayan balsam. So, and once that gets a hold, you can't really control it. You know, without stock there, you wouldn't be able to walk on these hills within 10 years.
And the Himalayan balsam is a relatively new threat, but it's a very real problem, isn't it?
That is a huge problem, and it'll get bigger, I think. I've only seen it over the last 3 to 4 years, and you know, once it gets a hold, it's a heck of a job to try and fight it, really.
Now, Brexit. We can't have a programme about Brexit, can we, Henry?
We can't. It's something we speak about every day here.
Well, Brexit is coming. Whether we have a common market or EU to leave in 2 years' time, possibly what happened in France might give us a pointer towards that.
Macron is very much committed to the European
He's very much
Union.
committed to it. So the French people seem to be committed to it at the moment, but there are other countries as well who have a strong anti-EU faction in the population. So what will be there in 2 years' time to leave, we don't quite know.
I think as well that Macron is likely to be pretty tough if he gets the Parliament in behind him. Of course, he's still got that hurdle to cross, but I think he's going to be pretty tough on us in the Brexit negotiations.
Well, that is the problem, really, because they can't be seen to be too kind to us. Otherwise, all the other 27 countries, or a large proportion of them, will want to leave as well.
And I think Macron believes, doesn't he, that the prosperity of France really depends on that German-French axis as the centre point of the European Union.
Yes, and, you know, I think really there's still room for the EU to improve what they're doing, and whether Britain will ever reapply to join, who's to say? But
I think that's the point, you see, because in a sense, perhaps we've been a bit quick on the uptake with Brexit, because one of Macron's things is he's going to work very hard to reform the European Union. A lot of the things that we don't like about it.
Well, time will tell, but...
Do you fear for British farming at all? And particularly, I mean, 80% of farmers' incomes, isn't it, comes from the European Union?
Well, that's the single farm payment, but it's not only the subsidy payment, but 30% of the lambs that we produce are exported to the EU, mainly to France. Well, if they close the door on that or put huge tariffs on that, you know, where do we go with those 3 lambs out of every 10 then? You know, it'll devastate sheep farming in the UK, really.
It's interesting because these are the conversations that aren't being had. Everyone's saying where are we going to get our BMWs or Fiats, but no one's actually talking about things
Nobody's
like...
talking about the sheep.
The sheep, exactly. But they're conversations that need to be had.
They certainly do.
Well, you know, there's a huge amount of things to be sorted out in the next 2 years.
How confident are you that the UK will want to subsidise farmers? Subsidise is the wrong word, I know, but want to help farmers to continue their role in the countryside?
I think that there's got to be, you know, farming will continue. People have got to eat. There's bound to be changes happening. Basically, if you're looking at subsidies, the subsidy actually comes from the farmer working for almost nothing to produce food for the rest of us, rather than coming from...
But I think, and I've got to really be in my bonnet, that farmers are no good at PR. Now, I'm a PR consultant, but they are no good at PR. And how are you going to make sure that money comes into the farmers' pockets, not into the National Trust, the RSPB and all the others?
Well, farmers, the money at the moment goes to the people who own the land or who control the land. Obviously, the National Trust own a lot of land, which is mainly tenanted again, and is run by mostly very efficient tenants, working under the constraints that they have there. But eventually, that's reflected in the rent anyway, isn't it?
We can talk more sheep, can't we? Next week, Tuesday, Talabont on us.
Talabont on us, turn up there. There's
16th of May.
it'll be a great.
Thank you, Llew. You can learn all
Thank
about
you.
sheep, Henry.
Next, we're going to invite Mary Cowern. She's going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking arthritis care on the sofa.
Yes, see you then.
Welcome back to Today on Bay TV. I'm Henry W. Cook and this is Gaynor Morgan. We're now joined by Mary Cowern from Arthritis Care.
Mary, now you're a director with Arthritis Care, and it's a big week for you all this week.
It is, yes. This week it's called Wake Up to Arthritis, where we're promoting the impact of arthritis and the fact there's always something that can be done.
So we all think of arthritis really as being a problem for older people. Are there many people in Wales who are suffering from it?
There's about 480,000 people that we're aware of that have arthritis in Wales.
In Wales?
Absolutely,
That's a
just
huge
in Wales.
chunk of the population. What would we,
Exactly.
3 million people?
Yeah, and
Sixth of the population?
there's 10 million across the UK, so the issue is huge, far bigger than many, many people think it is.
And young people suffer as well?
A lot of young people can have arthritis as well. Again, figures for us in Wales are a bit sketchy because we don't have that good a paediatric rheumatology provision in Wales. But we know there's around 600 children living with arthritis, and of course younger people of working age, again, high population of young people.
So, I mean, is it a case of people don't know they're just kind of suffering along and they don't know they have arthritis?
I think for many, yes, people will have what they perceive as some aches and pains, or maybe a sports injury that's taken a longer time to go away. So actually not go and get a diagnosis. I mean, recent evidence we've seen in the past that people take up to 3 years to actually go to a doctor and say, my joint's now getting really, really bad. A lot of elderly people might think it's just part of the ageing process, and it's not. You know, there is something that can be done.
Actually, I had two new knees and a new hip before the consultant said something, oh, well, that's the problem with osteoarthritis. And that's when I realised that's what I had. But there are all sorts of different kinds of arthritis, aren't
There are actually, yes. There's probably in the region of 200 different forms of arthritis, so it is quite a complex condition. There's an inflammatory types of arthritis, which is rheumatoid and psoriatic.
That's where you see the joints very swollen.
Yes, that's right. But it's also an autoimmune disease, so it can affect people in a lot more ways. You know, some people have their organs and eyes are affected as well. So it is really, really a big issue.
And how far ahead are we with medicine in treating it?
Compared to about 10, 15 years ago, we're racing ahead now. I mean, there's no cure for arthritis.
Of any form? Of
any form at all, no, unfortunately. But then that's not to say there never will be one. Certainly drug treatments are advancing phenomenally. Myself, my own treatments in the last 10 years have made a massive, massive difference.
So what have you suffered? Or you're still suffering?
I've had rheumatoid arthritis since I was 20. Probably about 15 years ago, I would have been sat here in a wheelchair. Now I've walked in today, which is fantastic.
And looking very bright and smart,
Thank you very much.
Say so. And a very positive attitude to life.
I do, and I think that's really, really important because it's so easy when you live with a condition like arthritis to let it get you down, because it's hard enough battling with the disease, but then you've got all the other stuff. You've got the emotional things going on. Many people have to give up work because it's a big struggle. Their family life gets affected. You stop going out. You feel you're getting a burden to everybody. So there's a whole lot of things going on. And I think for me, it's really, really important to stay positive. And I'd like to be a role model to others to show that they can go that route.
Can you share your story with us a little while?
Of course, yes.
How did you know that you...
I was in my very early 20s. I had quite a bad motorcycle accident and had some swollen joints afterwards. The aches and pains got worse, the swollen joints got worse. Took a very long time for my diagnosis, actually, because I was bounced in between specialists. And I do remember the day when the rheumatologist came in and said, well, we've got good news and bad news for you. Good news is we know you've got rheumatoid arthritis. Bad news is there's not much we can do about it. And by the time you're 30, you're going to be in a wheelchair.
Wasn't much good about that.
Absolutely. But then that's how things were in those days, that, you know, it was literally, well, you've got this, now you're going to have to live with it and get on with it. And my life immediately changed in that moment.
Can you remember how you felt at that moment?
Devastated, absolutely devastated.
You were a young woman?
I had a career all mapped out. I just bought my own house, so I had a mortgage, and I'm thinking, my gosh, you know, what am I going to do? How am I going to survive? And so many things were going on in my head. And it was a real, real worry. I really didn't know what my future faced for me. And I went into a bit of a spiral of depression, I'll be honest with you, because, as I say, my whole life changed. And I didn't know from day to day what each day would bring.
How did that depression manifest itself?
Cut myself off from friends and family. Family wanted to help me, but wanted to help me too much, which, you know, they cared about me and they could see what I was going through, but I still wanted to be independent. I was seen as a condition. Now I wasn't seen as Mary anymore, but I was still Mary, and I was fighting against that. So I pushed people away a lot, including my friends. I felt I didn't want to go out with them because I couldn't do stairs, I couldn't go out dancing. Even just going to the pub was a massive, massive effort to get ready and go out. So I did really push people away.
And how long did that phase last?
I suppose it's like a grievance procedure. It did last for a couple of years.
You were grieving for your former self?
Absolutely. My body started to change because obviously I was putting weight on because of my medication. My joints were becoming deformed and swollen. So I was really, really in a bad place. But my dad, and I always remember my dad, he was always a fighter. And he sort of said, look, come on, pull yourself together. This isn't you. Get on with it. And it was just that one sentence.
Very tough call for a parent to say that.
Absolutely. But, you know, he could see probably what I was going through. And from that day, I thought, no, I'm not going to let this beat me. I'm going to go out there and look to see what can help me because there must be something. And that's when I found Arthritis Care.
And now, do you work full-time with them?
I do, yes. I was actually out of work for 15 years because of my arthritis. But during that time, Arthritis Care helped me sort of get my mojo back then, find my personality, taught me how to manage my arthritis, so complementing my medical treatment, all the other stuff, but also trained me in other areas. I trained to be a self-management tutor as a volunteer, so I did quite a lot of voluntary work. And it gave me that confidence back, I think, you know, and it sort of put me on that mission.
Story,
it's an amazing story. This week is Arthritis Care Awareness Week.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
What it is, we want to show people the impact of arthritis. So we've called it Wake Up to Arthritis. So it's for politicians, the public, decision makers, everyone needs to really wake up to the impact of arthritis and that it's not just part of the ageing process, bit of aches and pains, but also to show people that there's something that can be done. You don't have to be like I was 30 years ago. It doesn't need to be like that anymore. We can support people, there's help out there, and people can learn to self-manage.
And presumably, medically, things have moved on.
Oh, definitely, absolutely. But again, it's still quite difficult for some people to get the right treatments as well. It is a very complex condition, as I mentioned, particularly in terms of osteoarthritis, as you might well know yourself. There's not the drug treatments available. It just tends to be surgery.
And also the waiting times can be very long, during which time you put on weight, you become depressed, you get out of the loop in terms of work.
Absolutely.
I think that's quite a difficult thing for people to cope with.
Yes, definitely.
And then I guess the rehabilitation process as well after an op is huge, and to get back on your feet.
Work.
Yeah.
Yes, it is very hard work. But again, you know, organisations such as mine, we've got things that we can do to support people in that post-surgery phase as well, in terms of showing them the right exercise, but just talking to someone, talking to another person with arthritis.
And also perhaps to people who aren't suffering, but who may know something's amiss with a colleague or a family member, to be like your dad.
Absolutely, give them that encouragement.
And to look out for people, and also it affects mental health.
Oh, yes, very much so. You know, again, people who come to us, the people who we support, who call our helpline, high proportion of those people come through that have depression or, you know, developing mental health illnesses along the road. And that's another thing that we want to show, that something needs to be done to bring those two areas together, so the physical side and the emotional, psychological side.
It's not just the arthritis.
Absolutely.
So just quickly in the final moments, where can people go to find out more and read more?
Well, do go to our website, arthritiscare.org.uk, where you can find loads of information on there. There's also a link there onto our helpline. So we have a free phone helpline, which is open Monday to Friday, where you can get some more tailored personal information.
And Mary, you're a fantastic role model. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Really great.
After the break, Tom Auton's going to come and play us out, and he's going to be talking to us.
Oh, enjoy that.
Welcome back to your final part today on Bay TV. I'm Henry Darby-Cook, and this is Gaynor Morgan.
And we're going to talk to Tom now and hear quite a lot about your music and your new single, yeah?
Yeah, 2 weeks today. It's the first song I just played then. It's called Money Man. The artwork was done by Nathan Wyburn, who's a Welsh artist, experiments with foods and all different sort of things like that. But he made the whole album artwork out of money. So I'm releasing the promo video for that tonight. So check out my Facebook, www.facebook.com/Tom Auton Music. And yeah, that's going to be on there. And the video was done by my friend Dan Rogers. So thanks very much for that. And yeah, plug it out all there. But yeah, 2 weeks today. It should be available on iTunes, Spotify.
And what is the single?
The single is called Money Man. It's the first song I played just then. And yeah, I'm really excited. It should be cool.
Did you write it?
Yeah, all written myself, completely written myself. All self-produced as well. Got a little home studio in my bedroom and recorded it all there. So yeah, fingers crossed, it should be cool.
So are you kind of not on a label or?
No, all independent. Never had any management or anything like that. So everything I'm doing, everything I'm achieving now, which is all done sort of by myself and everyone else helping me out, which is really cool.
That's what music's about, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's all about helping each other out, and we're all trying to get to the same place. So if we can all help each other, it makes it a lot easier than trying to be
Is that the
competitive.
plan, to stay independent? Because it's very popular to do that now, isn't it?
It is getting more popular, I think. Yeah, I mean, possibly you can look to people to help you, I suppose. Not necessarily as a management role, but to just be sort of that sort of higher figure in terms of directing you into someone that you'd like to go. So yeah, just trying to find someone to develop you as an artist, really, but not necessarily get signed, which yeah, is very popular at the moment. So yeah, that could be the plan for me in the future, I think. Yeah.
I'm amazed at how much can be achieved these days on a very, very small scale. You said you've got a studio in your bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just a lot of it you can do yourself now. You can find a lot of it on YouTube. You can find out tutorials. You know, everything's 2 clicks away on the internet, really, isn't it? A lot of it, everything's done by social media now. The way you reach your fans and things like that, it's all through social media. The way you promote your gigs, it's definitely a great tool in that aspect. So. Yeah.
Dare I ask what the neighbours say?
One neighbour who's on the other side, who's not attached to the house, he's fine. One neighbour on the other side, sometimes it's a bit loud, and I get a knock on the wall, but I'm like, yeah, it's fair enough. I understand it is like 5 o'clock on a Sunday, so.
5 o'clock in the morning?
Oh no, afternoon. But any time on a Sunday is just not ideal. But yeah.
Where do you get your inspiration?
I get a lot of inspiration. I think I was heavily influenced earlier, like 3-4 years ago, when Ed Sheeran came on the scene. Everyone is. But now, more the likes of... I'm really liking Rag and Bone Man. He's got a really, really unique voice. I like his style. Love James Bay, George Ezra, those kind of solo artists that have got a little bit something different about them, I think.
I think I've got a bit of homework to do.
Yeah, have a listen to them. You'd like them. They're really cool.
Well, going back to gigs, have you got a busy summer ahead of you?
Yeah,
most?
summer's chock-a-block with festivals and gigs and things like that. All my gigs are then posted on my website, which is tomauton.com. Yeah, all through bands in town. So any gig that I do there, you can then get ticket links straight through there. We'll be uploading and revamping the website pretty much within the next week. So I get some more dates up on there. So yeah, should be busy, but busy's good. So.
Awesome. And if anyone wants to kind of hear stuff tonight or today after seeing you, Spotify?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify. Just type in my name, Tom Auton, Auton, and should be...
You're also a student. How can you...
Yeah,
what you...
last year of A-levels.
Oh, quite a tough year then.
Yeah. I mean, but when you're doing
it... You'd be in the A-levels in no time, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've done 2 exams already. I've got another 3 in June. So yeah, busy revising, keeping the head in the shed. But I'd rather be busy than doing nothing, so...
And what's the plan? University or...?
I'm taking a year out to work in a recording studio, an actual recording studio in Gloucester, up in Oliver Studios. So yeah, I'm going to be doing some songwriting, just being the handyman in the studio, really, whether it be making cups of teas or whatever. I make a good cup of tea, so...
Great experience, though.
Yeah, it's going to be a great experience. I think that's something that university maybe couldn't offer you. They can offer you, lectures and things like that, but it's when you're really there and you're doing it firsthand is where you really learn a lot, I think.
So is that what you're hoping to do, to sort of get up the sort of work ladder?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely, I think obviously the singing is plan A, really. I think going into the recording studio, whether it be songwriting for other people or myself or whatever, is definitely the backup plan. So just trying to get a bit of experience in both fields, so if one doesn't work out, the other should be there to fall back on, sort of thing. So Yeah.
So, single in 2 weeks, does that mean there's an album somewhere on the horizon?
Possibly. It could be a budding album soon. I think I've just in the experience of sort of writing it into a different style at the moment. So, yeah, just getting to new songs. I think I've written one the other week that I'm going to play now. So, yeah, it's kind of down that blues. It's quite a different sort of genre. There's not many people doing it at the moment. It's sort of like a blues, kind of rock pop sort of thing going on. Not really sure how to categorise it, but it's something about that. So, yeah, that's possibly an album coming soon. We never know. We never know. Possibly towards the end of the year.
Awesome.
The main thing is you're enjoying it, and you're working together with your friends. You've all become colleagues, as it were.
It's you know, people say, oh, you know, you go and you work, you know, doing pub gigs and things like that to earn your money. It's like, oh, is that your job? And it's like, well, you don't really consider it as a job when you love it. So, yeah, it's
just part of your life.
Part of your life, yeah, exactly. So.
But there is more of a career structure, I think, these days with this sort of thing. I mean, in my day, you'd been laughed out the room if you'd said you were going to.
Yeah, you definitely need to have a plan of what you're going to do. If you can go about it sort of, you know, sort of half bothered attempt, then you won't really get anywhere. You need to be really committed to it, I think, if you're gonna make a name for yourself. And yeah, then it's just about when you get to the level of talent, it's then a case of who you then know to then help you push you. And to get where
networking's very important.
Networking's really important.
That's a skill in itself, isn't it?
It is, because especially if you're not. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be quite socially confident, and I'm not, you know, too bothered about being myself.
A lot of creative people aren't that pushy, are they? They're not that naturally.
you find that a lot of people that maybe that have bags of talent, but just aren't networking in the right way, and you think, well, what's happening? You know, they're putting a video up on YouTube and it's getting like 100 views, and you think, well, why? Well, they're amazing. And it's just a case of, are you pushing yourself in front of the right people, and are you doing those right things behind the scenes to then make that lift off the way you want it to, really? So, yeah, it's a big part of it.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Tom. If you want to go and get ready to play us out, and we'll close the show.
Awesome. That sounds
Cheers,
good.
man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to all our guests today and to all our viewers for watching us, especially those who've tuned in for our Talking Pictures afternoon matinee coming up next on Bay TV.
Today, it's the 1952 comedy Dry Rot, and starring Ronald Shiner. So, I think Tom's just getting ready. He's miking himself up, and we're going to hear some more from Tom Auton, aren't we? So,
yeah.
He's got his guitar ready.
We'll see you soon, and we're going to hand it over to Tom now.
Take a hard look at yourself. Tell me what went wrong. Mortified by what you see. A bad end to a good song. Don't presume that someone's gonna save you. Wanna get out, you gotta get out and make a move. Waking up to hard-cut silence and a spinning wheel. Photographs of chronographs that to break the seal. Don't presume that someone's gonna save you. Wanna get out, you gotta get out and make a move. You want it, you can't have it. Stop kidding yourself, yeah, you know that you're broken. Who's gonna save you? Who's gonna love you when you're gone? When you're gone? When you're gone? Who's gonna love you? Who's gonna save you when you're living in a poor man's paradise? Throw a sentence down a well and hope that life will change. Words are floating underground, perplex the range. Don't assume that someone's gonna save you. Wanna get out, you gotta get out and make a move. Take me now, my time has come. I've got what I achieved, overused and overrun by a man-made machine. Don't assume that someone's gonna save you. Wanna get out, you gotta get out and make a move. You want it, you can't have it. Stop kidding yourself, yeah, you know that you're broken. Who's gonna save you? Who's gonna love you when you're gone? When you're gone? When you're gone? living in a poor man's paradise. Who's gonna save you? Who's gonna love you when you're gone? When you're gone? When you're gone?